Before we were born, we chose our environments, our parents, our trials, our tests, our examinations, the friends we are with, the situations we will be in. But when it's too much, we cry. It's alright, you can cry, you can pray, and help will be there to help you to overcome this weakness or to go quickly, to comfort your soul a little bit to go through the test. Just like when you have to go to get a shot from the doctor. But the nurse will hold your hand, things like that. Or your parents, like your mother or father, will say, honey, it's alright. I'll take you to the movies later. Things like that. But the shot, you still have to get it. But still you feel better, with a loved one next to you. That's why when you go to the hospital, many people go to see you, but it doesn't ease your pain. It doesn't lessen your sorrow. But you feel comforted with the flowers, with the get well cards. With a lot of friends and loved ones, smiling and loving you. You feel comforted, is that right? That's why we pray. That's why we meditate. Also, it will lessen the pain of our test. And it makes us pass in all colors. I just realized that everything that I have in this world is something that I have chosen. And then if that's so, then what is there to do for me? I mean, it's only a matter now of fulfilling my mission. But you don't even know what it is. Well, my mission is my work. Whatever I'm doing right now is my mission. Fine. But you won't probably do it right. You don't do it correctly. And sometimes you want to know how to do it better so that you gain a higher degree for yourself, for your own wisdom. And meditation is the beginning of your wisdom, so that you do work better, you pass the higher note in the test, alright? Just like when you go to school, and you have sometimes an extra teacher so that you can pass the test better, so that you do your exam easier, okay? But it gets more beautiful as you meditate more, as you become more virtuous. I told you already, apart from what you have, apart from the situation and the karma you make and give and take with people, you add more glory to your life. Also, it's kind of bonus. Also, you feel more at peace with your life and you feel more happy and more content in suffering and happiness. My book, The Love of Centuries, is just a catalyst for you. To remind us that we are love incarnate, and poetry, like a novel, is not always about our own personal feeling. It could be a touch of nostalgia in the air that inspires the moment. It could be a waft of fragrance from the garden that stirs up memories from the long-forgotten past. So we can never explain that feeling of first sight or second lingering glance from into another person, or an animal, a house or place. Or some special scenery that whirls up surges of emotional waves in our heart. Or something in the air that catches our open soul by surprise. And that surprise lures us into a distant mood of some remote past, maybe romance, maybe some emotion, special sentiment, and then a poem springs to life through this journey. Then it will be superb, beautiful, and spontaneous, like the breeze from the ocean, like the sky in autumn. We don't make poetry, in my opinion. We draw it from the air, from the atmosphere. We discover it in our heart. And we cannot help but exclaim it into prose and verses. And the world around us reverberates, transports this marvel into the distance beyond our paper and pen. So we share the joy. We partake the sadness of the whole human race. That's how poetry is born. And it belongs to all on earth as well as in heaven. Surprise again, poetry is also enjoyed by heavens. Because we are oneness, have always been and will ever be. Heaven and earth, humans and deities and animals. So my poems are yours, my feelings also are yours. Because we share this magnificent earth home, and we live under the same sky. And whatever affects one, would affect others, or all of us. So we strive to bring goodness into our world. While it's still even in the infancy of perfection, we nurture and care, we protect and share all the pain and sorrow that still exists on our planet, sadly. But we also have happiness and joy here. That's how poetry is born. Everywhere people love poetry, because it's the bridge to all our humans' knowledge and emotion, the link between our souls. Only love, even at a personal level. Wood reminds us all that we are from the same essence, that is love. We could share the same feelings, the same hope, the same sorrow, but also the same aspiration. That's why love poetry is similar everywhere. People, they write love songs, they write love poems, all about emotions, all about love, happiness, and sometimes disappointment. But that's the price we pay for love. So hence, it reminds us to sympathize, to love one another, as we love our dearest, and as we love ourselves. Love is vital, and love poetry is vital, because it will bring us closer together as a planetary community, as siblings of the same family. Love, 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 love. Love is really all that we need to have on this planet in order to have peace, to bring heaven onto our earth. Please enjoy more love poems, literature, or songs wherever you have a chance. And express more love to close ones, to your pets, your neighbors, your families, to the world at large. We can never have too much love in this physical domain, don't you think so? Yes, I think so. I also agree with you. So we should enjoy whenever we get it. And we do share whenever we have it. And we do express freely whenever we have the urge to write it down, because for this world, the best thing is love. Just like how much we enjoy our romance or our sentiments when we are in love, or when we have the love of our family members or our pets, the same. Our world needs this kind of love. More love, love, love. Lots of love. Many people are scared. Many high-level people are scared of this world. They are aware, very much aware, of the danger of this world. Very difficult to keep yourself pure and clean. Very difficult to keep your position if you mix with the people of this world. You might even be dragged down into their level and stay here forever. Forever? Be just an ordinary being. Because once you get in there, in this world, it is different than when you are up in the heaven. Power is different. The freedom of movement is different. Anything can go wrong, understand? So, they might even fall. For example, you are a very good, strong person. You can run very fast on the surface of the earth. But once you become a diver, you put on all this equipment, the oxygen mask and the diver suits, and you dive deep into the sea. Now, you are under the water, and in the deep, the seabed, you might encounter a problem. You are within the fish. You look like the fish and you swim like the fish, and every other fish looks like you, and they think you are fish. Yeah, they might come and attack you, wanting to swallow you up, because you are a small fish. Compared to other fish, you are small, like the sharks or the killer whales. Is that right? Killer whales? And you look small. They might want to swallow you, including your oxygen mask and oxygen bottle and everything. He might not be able to digest it, but he does not know. He thinks you are just a strange fish. He might want to try what kind of fish for dinner, yes. Now you are far away from the control center. And then, you might get the message through, but you might not. If the fish attack you and cut off the connection. So, even though you are very strong on the surface of the earth, you are helpless under the water, because you are truly not fish. And if you are cut off from the oxygen mask, or it's damaged, you're done, finished. You probably stay there forever. You might turn into a fish inside a fish and then become a fish. Outside shape as a fish, inside is different. Therefore, even a master who came into this world has to protect himself in many different ways, not ordinary way. Always have to keep contact within, with the kingdom of God, with the central intelligence. Otherwise, he'll be in trouble. You see how Shakyamuni Buddha has been an ignorant person for 20-some years, or 30 years before he's awakened again. And due to some good chance that he met a good master, that he's awakened himself, otherwise, he might just not. Can you imagine if he produced a few more babies and then his father died and then he became a king, and he might be even worse off. He might not even awaken himself, you understand? Or Jesus Christ, he's supposed to be the Son of God, the one and only even, and what did he do? What did he do in the youth? Nothing much. The same like everybody, even being a carpenter, earning money in such a laborious way. Nothing special, and if he has not been awakened due to enlightenment, due to some good master, due to the grace of God, then where has he gone to? We don't know. So Judas and Peter, they're supposed to be great enlightened saints, following the great master, and they failed even though temporarily. But what I mean is the danger of this world. At least they know they failed, and they turn back again. But many people don't know. So what happens? Very dangerous sphere, this world. Sometimes a saint came into this world, of the very high order saints come to this world, and they're trapped in this world for many thousands of years, before they get liberation again, and go back home. You may have been saints in the past lives. You might have come here with the good intention to help this world, but then you get stuck here. And then, maybe of the saintly quality that you have acquired in previous lives, so you are crying inside. You probably remember something, in very deep of your subconscious. You remember that you have been something different from ordinary persons here. You cannot bear the suffering anymore. Therefore, you call for help. So some master must come down and help you. If you practice very well, and you are sincere, you'll be able to know that. To know this, and you'll feel it. You know that you are somehow not from this world. You're not ordinary person. You came for some purpose. Now you have slipped down. Now you try to go back home. This happens. People, sometimes their bad karma is so heavy that even seeing God makes them suffer. Seeing the Buddha, they feel burning. In the Book of the Dead of the Tibetans, they describe very, very clearly that the people, after they die, sometimes they see a lot of light, when their soul's still wandering in the stage of waiting list, not yet decided where to go. Sometimes people are not decided. Some people go straight to heaven. Some people go straight to hell, if it is that the case is so clear. Some people are not good, not bad, hanging between for 49 days or something, and suddenly they saw a lot of light. Some are very soft and comfortable to the eyes, and some are so bright that it hurts their eyes that they cannot even look at it. But the book advises that you go for the forceful light. Go for the light that hurts your eyes, that is the light of the Buddha. That's why you must go for liberation. Don't follow your feeling and go to soft light, where the astral world will lead you to hell, and the astral existence, etc., etc. And this is true, but most people cannot walk to that kind of light. Something like pulling them back. Like they walk uphill, and then they feel it hurts in their eyes, and they just cannot go, even though they know. Q, could you please explain to me what the mind is? SM, the mind is nothing but a bundle of attached thinking and ideas and information that we gather in our daily relationship with other beings, and that we call me or the mind, and then we cling to all that and say, oh, I am like that. I brush my teeth 3 times a day. That's me. I never apologize even when I am wrong. It's me. I don't fear anything. It's me, etc., etc. But all these are what? That's just collective information. Before you were born, you didn't brush your teeth. You have no teeth. Laughter, for example. Therefore, mind is nothing. And we would be very unwise to listen to this kind of so-called mind. It's just a collected habit, information from others, from societies, and from our own inner relationships. And then we think we are like that. Oh, I have to eat this, I have to drink coffee, because it's me, my way of life, it's me. But who is that me? Who drinks the coffee before you were born? Coffee wasn't even there hundreds of years ago. Therefore, these things are very unreliable and very nonsensical. They are not you. And that is what most of us call me, that is the mind. In Buddhism, there is a term called Zhang Yinshin. Zhang Yinshin means the body that you use after you've left this physical body. Just before you enter into another kind of existence. Before you enter into the womb or another existence. In 49 days, your soul, or your so-called Zhang Yin body, means in the middle body. will fly around the world, up and down, in and out, and finding some places to rest, or some purpose of life, or somewhere to reincarnate. People ask me, with this kind of body, can we become Buddha? I say, yes and no. Yes, if you have, during the physical life, already let the seed of your enlightenment sprout forth. Then, after you leave the body, the sprout continues to grow, because only in this fertile ground the seed can sprout. Without water, without earth, no sprout. But, no, if in the physical body, you have not let the seed of the Buddhahood sprout forth, or the kingdom of God has not opened. So when you leave the body, you are still like that. If you are not literate in this life, after you die, will you become literate? No, of course not. You're even worse only. So that's why the Buddha says the human body is very, very precious. Because we can use it to fertilize our growth into Buddhahood. But those who practice the Kuan Yin method to get enlightenment, or after initiation, you need not go through the period in between. You go directly to Buddha's land, to where your master is, and there you learn further, if you have not learned enough. If you have learned enough, you become a master in some land above the earth. Or you come back to the earth, become a master of the earthly citizens. If you have not developed enough into mastership, then you go to where your master stays. He takes care of you, teaches you, educates you, you develop until you become a teacher yourself. You need not go through the wandering period of the Zhong Yinshan. So no problem, I promise. The more we are in tune with the divine, and the longer the time we are vegan, the more we become more sensitive and more connected with all beings in the world, not just animals, but even trees. I told you some time before that trees even report to me and tell me that there's some danger for me or something like that. The plants also try. They're always trying to tell us something. But it's just that we don't listen, because we are too coarse, we are too burdened with so many things. And if we are lighter in our consciousness, we can be in tune with animals easily, intuitively, or even telepathically. And even the trees and the plants will talk to you when necessary, and then you will feel their love, and you will appreciate their beauty more. Like you have never seen them before. Suddenly, you feel the trees are so beautiful, or the animals are so lovely, lovely. Before, you saw them like you didn't see, of course. But most humans, they're too busy with other things. They forget to be in tune with themselves, not to talk about being in tune with animals or nature. That's a pity, that's our loss. So that's why I have to tell people, do meditate, be veg, and things like that. These are serving this purpose, so that we are more connected with all things in the universe, which are part of ourselves. The greenery affects us a lot. I'm used to with trees. I like it. I like oxygen from the trees. I like to see greenery. You don't know it, but it affects you a lot. There is some experiment in some school. They have 2 schools, one with a lot of greenery and one with nothing. There's a big difference between the students of 2 schools. They're healthier. They're more intelligent, more concentrated, easy to learn. Their concentration span is longer. They don't get distracted so easily. And they're more peaceful. That's why we have to protect the environment, because it protects us. All the trees, they don't say anything, but they quietly radiate their peacefulness. And the oxygen from them is helping us to calm our mind. Imagine if you don't have enough oxygen. I don't know, scientifically speaking, it's like that. But before I knew all the scientific research, I already feel that trees are good for me. I just feel good being under them. Even my dogs, they try to find a tree to scratch a little their neck or something, or lay under the tree. It's cooler and just feels peaceful. Plants response. Q. Some people invented a machine that could be connected to plants, and the reactions of the plants could be transformed into audio output by the machine. In the first experiment, a person who usually took care of the plant talked to it. The plant's response was transformed into sound. Of course, it might not be a very sophisticated machine, so it could only produce sounds of different loudness but not of different kinds. It had only one kind of sound. The second experiment was more interesting. He placed 2 pots of plants there, and asked someone to deliberately pluck the leaves of the first pot, causing damage to the plant. Then he connected the machine to the second plant. He asked another person who had not hurt the plant to walk by the 2 plants. The second plant showed no reaction, but when the first person who had done damage to the first plant walked past, the sound from the plant was very loud, as if it was saying, "The murderer is coming. The murderer is coming." That was how it was. It is him. Yes, they would know. So we should not think that it is all right to do it quietly in the dark when nobody sees us. God sees it. We see it. The walls have ears. That's why, if they could speak, they know everything we do. Animals, plants, trees, and walls, they all know. Even rocks can nod. Just because we don't see them nod, we don't think they nod. It is their souls that nod. Rocks also have souls, harder souls. See it yourself and you will know. Stories of the sun and plants. Master, I didn't see our brothers and sisters' halo, but one time, inside my apartment, I wanted to have reflection from the sun, and one day the tree was blocking my view, sun. And then I said, I wish the tree be away so the sun can be to my. And suddenly I see the halo in the light. And I'm just wondering, in front of the tree. Yes, whole of that specific tree. Yes, understand. And then, I know that the trees happen to have high level, but how come I can see the halos in the No, the sun came there to say halo to you. The sun divided a part of himself. Because you say you wish you can see the sun. And because the tree blocked it, so he just divided a little portion to show you. Because you love the sun so much. So the sun just showed the appreciation and love to you, okay? But the tree also has a halo. That's all. But we be natural, okay? Everything emits light, and already scientifically proven by photo. Every plant has light around it, and every blade of grass has light around it. You are blessed. Good. Alright, Also, plants are very noble, and are very grateful for the care that we give them. I planted some papaya trees, and the trees bore some bunches of lots of papayas, and then higher up also, and it is flowering up above. And the soil is little, but they feel the love and they appreciate a lot, I think. The sister said that also plants are very noble. That she planted some papaya trees and they grow beautifully and they keep growing up and they give her beautiful flowers, beautiful papayas. They grow in different parts of the tree trunk. And they grow from different parts of the same body, from the same tree. They just grow like a flower. Trees and plant also absorb your sickness, if you ask. Sometimes not ask, they do it. That's why when you go into the forest, they call it forest bathing, you know? They go walking around the forest, you feel better, more energized and more relaxed and more happy. All the stress, it's just gone. Because they absorb all this for you, and then return all positive energy for you. If you don't treat the trees or plants well, they are also sad and they die. If you treat them well, they grow and grow. And with love they may grow and grow. I told you the story when I was in a New York temple. I gave nothing, like just water or tea water. And they grew and all over. From this little plant like this that had been. From this little plant like this that had been there for many years, and just like this. And then after I transplanted it and put in my room and, of course, I meditated. I didn't meditate especially for the tree to grow. Just take care and love every day. And then it grew all over the house and I had to trim them, put outside for people to take away, and he kept growing and growing. They love Master's voice very much. Plants love Master's voice. How do you know? You have experience? I see. Yes, I have an experience. I used to have 2 herbs. One is lavender. We got 2 for our wedding gift anniversary, and the other one was growing quite nicely, and the lavender was kind of always weak. It was getting weaker and weaker. So when I looked at that, why is it so weak and ugly? And it's always been like that, because even though I give water, it's just same, weaker and weaker. I looked for the florist. Ask advice, right? Yes. And they said, we can't help it. It's already too weak. Throw it away. Too weak. Yes, too weak. Throw away. So I decided to throw it away, that plant. I put it in the car and then drove to the mountain. I got to the mountain, and then on the way, the plant told me, I don't want to die. I suddenly heard. That was the first time I heard, I don't want to die. So I looked back. The plant was. So I said, okay, if you don't want to die, okay, I will look after you. So I brought it back quite big, and then brought it back to the apartment. And then I said, okay, if you don't want to die, you have to make an effort. Okay, I will love you more. So I put it in a nice spot, where the breeze came in and nice sun. Every day when I gave water, I turned on the master's voice next to it. And then I gave water. Okay, I love you. You look nice. Every day I talked like that, and that year, that lavender was blooming. So I know that they have Buddha nature, too. They like, yes. And normally, when I go away, my husband turns off the chanting, and then I come back, they complain to me. He turned off the master's voice, SM, live by the voice. D, they love that, yes. So I think anyone who wants to grow things, maybe turn on your voice. Very nice. SM, I didn't have voice or nothing. I didn't do nothing. I just give water and love. Not deliberately even. I just give water because I feel he's so pitiful. 5 years in the temple, and only like this in yellow, and very thin. You know, but he grows big like this, and branches all over the room. I have to move out to the bigger room, still growing, too big. So I'd say, we have to divide. Okay. You okay with that? And then people will take you, part of you, home, and you will make many more people happy. Okay, and I trimmed it and put it in different pots and grow roots. And then different pot, and I put outside. Temple people pass by, they take, pass by, take. And he kept growing and growing, so fast, so fast. Imagine. First it was like this only and like this long, this tall, about my hand, tall, that's it, and so thin like my little finger, even smaller than that, in yellow and in a small little pot, you know? 5 years. I asked how long this plant had been here. 5 years, just stayed like that. But I planted him in a bigger pot then, of course. I took earth from the garden and gave it to him. And some dry leaves from the garden and all that, and then put in some water. And whenever the temple drank tea and it was left over, I diluted it and watered him. That's all. And then he grows and grows and grows, so big, like a jungle in my room. Can't even go in. So I had to move him out and divide him so that he could develop elsewhere. But still you need to give nutrition, compost or stuff. Practical love. D, they even tell me. Some spot has more sun without your voice, and some spot has less sun with your voice. They prefer with your voice less sun. They bloom more flowers than in the sunspots. In one plant, they say it's not supposed to bloom flower. But with your chanting, they bloom, they make flowers. SM, yes. You mean the wrong season? D, I forgot the name of the herb. SM, why? Not supposed to bloom. D, well, some plants, it's like the male, doesn't bloom. SM, the males don't bloom and they still bloom? D, yes, just bloom. I said, why my coriander doesn't bloom? I asked the florist. That kind of coriander. No, not coriander. I don't remember. Okay, whatever. That kind of plant doesn't bloom. And then I moved it because the plant asked me to move next to the cassette player, where your poetry or chanting's coming out. It was nearby. And they said, like it better. Less sun, but I can hear master's voice, so I moved the left side is less sun, and then I moved there and then it bloomed that year. SM. Less sun, but no problem. Voice and bloom. Male bloom. D. Incredible. Incredible. Yes, I understand. I'm surprised. Trees and plants also absorb your sickness, if you ask. Sometimes not ask. They do it. If you don't treat the trees or plants well, they are also sad and they die. If you treat them well, they grow and grow. And with love they may grow and grow. Plants experience sensations. An experiment was once conducted by some scientists, who measured the vibrations of the leaves and stems of plants before burning them. At which time it was discovered that the plants shook very violently out of fear. They also did another research study and discovered that whenever a kind-hearted person who loved plants approached places where trees and plants were grown, the trees and plants would appear to be very happy. However, when someone who disliked plants or had unkind thoughts entered those places, the plants would tremble violently and generate resisting instead of welcoming vibrations. Scientists have experimented on both resisting and welcoming vibrations. Because of this research, they know that trees also experience sensations. That is why some people can grow trees and plants while some others cannot. Love creates miracles. Now I am telling you my own story. Since childhood I have liked trees and plants. Before I became a renunciate, our house had a huge garden. The lawn was green and the garden was filled with green plants. It was very beautiful and comfortable. I watered every day and took very good care of the plants. And I disliked it the most when someone would harm them. I got very upset, because I could feel their pain, and that would hurt me, too. I don't like that. We really shouldn't harm plants without any reason. When I was in India searching for the truth, I lived in an ashram, where there was a tree, the kind that grows in the desert. Its leaves were full of thorns. It had been chopped so badly that it could no longer grow any roots. Some plants will grow roots if we cut them a little below the leaves and then put them in some water. But if you cut above the leaves, the roots will not grow. At that time I felt sorry for that desert plant. It was very pretty, and I thought it was such a pity. But other people didn't want to plant it because its roots would not grow, and it wouldn't be able to revive. One fellow practitioner at the ashram said to me, "If you wish, why don't you take it back and have a try? You have the power." I said, "Okay, I'll give it a try." I planted it in the soil, and it came back to life. It was alive all the time when I was there, even though it had no roots at all. It was able to come back to life. Seeing its new leaves grow, I knew it had come back to life with joy. Because each day I had been there meditating and reciting the holy names, it was affected and didn't feel anything bad, so it started to grow again. When I was in the United States, I stayed in a Chinese temple. Originally, there were no potted plants there, only one or two tiny, yellowish things, which had been planted for several years already but were still tiny, looking rather sickly. Perhaps they did not have enough nutrients, or perhaps nobody ever took good care and watered them. I didn't think twice, and began to water as soon as I saw any trees. I watered them every day. 2 months later, they had developed very quick. My room was filled with potted plants and there is no room for me to sit anymore. People were very surprised. At that time I didn't have any money to buy fertilizer for the plants. I was not a professional tree grower, either. All I had was love. I meditated and watered every day and didn't think much. I watched the leaves grow bigger and bigger, and the plants multiplied. By the time I left, I was afraid that there would be no one to take care of them, so I gave them away to the devotees. They were so happy that they grabbed them right away. There was another plant that had been there for several years and didn't grow much. After I came, more branches began to grow on the lower part. It also grew taller and bigger. When I left, the abbot said, "This is too big to give away. But after you are gone, it just might die." I said, "It will probably live for another 2 years," and my words came true. 2 years later when I returned, the plant had just died. I came back too late. The abbot told me, "It just died." He asked me, "Has it been 2 years since you left last time?" I said, Yes, at that time, I remembered what I had jokingly said, and it had really died after 2 years. Therefore, we can tell that trees have feelings. Because I took care of them every day, they grew very big and green. Their leaves grew so big that they became different than other ordinary plants. I didn't give them much except water every day. Sometimes when there was some leftover tea, I would give it to them, too. I would also dig some soil from outside and put it in the pots. Because they grew bigger and bigger, I gave them more nourishment. As a result, they grew too big. Evil brings destruction. At that time, there was a person who created heavy karma by taking a monk home to be her personal possession. People there discriminated against her. Even though nobody liked her, she would still come. One day, she came and slept in the room where all the potted plants had been stored. At that time, there was no 7-day retreat, so I put all the plants outside, close to my room in the other room. She only slept there for one night. When I got up the next morning, many leaves had turned a coffee color and died, as if someone had burned them with fire. Or as if they had been too close to the cooking stove and looked burned even though they were not really burned. My heart was hurting very much. I collected them all and showed them to the abbot, who said there were too many people and not enough oxygen. I said there weren't that many people. He didn't understand, so I didn't want to say too much. Shaking my head, I put all those leaves in the garbage. You see how formidable it was. We were both humans, but I slept with the plants every day, and there was no problem at all. How come she came and slept for just one night and the plants became like that? Many people slept here, and they didn't destroy our plants overnight. We meditate a lot here every day. And there has never been anything wrong. Many people used to sleep here, and there was never any problem. So it wasn't because of too many people. Heavy, evil thoughts and karma from humans can affect plants. You see, those plants were affected very badly and it was evident. It would not be hard to imagine how much more human minds can be affected. That's the reason we have to be very careful. That's why most masters like to hide in the mountains, as do their disciples. They don't like to leave the mountains. The real masters are reluctant to leave the mountains. If they live in the city, they also hide themselves and will not advertise that such and such a great master lives here. The more famous the master becomes, the more he wants to hide. The more people know about him, the more he hides. If he were not known to a lot of people, maybe he wouldn't care much. If he were known to too many people, he would try harder to hide. He really dislikes it. The human magnetic field is terrible. A person with heavy, evil thoughts and who doesn't practice can burn other people to death. Spiritual practice benefits sentient beings. Therefore, our minds affect others. Don't think it's good enough for us to be vegetarian. It doesn't do us any good if we eat vegetarian food but can't stop evil thoughts. We should meditate more. Shakyamuni Buddha said, "Don't make friends with evil people. Don't get close to them." He was speaking to beginners in spiritual practice, because they didn't have enough strength, and their spiritual power was not strong enough for self-protection. More spiritual practice will help. The more you practice, the more influence you have. When we recite the holy names silently, many people will benefit. When you are used to reciting them, wherever you go people will be benefited while you might not know. Even when you don't know them, you still benefit them. The power of reciting the holy names is that great. The more you recite them, the more benefit there is and the more people will benefit. If a person completely understands the truth, and reaches full enlightenment, the level of the whole world and all of humanity will be elevated. Even if other people don't practice, they still make progress. The miracle of the neem tree. Even if we don't practice the Kuan Yin method, we should know that there is God. Otherwise, who looks after the trees, the birds, the water, the air, the mountains, even the rocks, the earth? Who makes makes them exist, and who makes them continue to exist in this way, in such a very convenient way for us to use. Every small particle of the earth is an offering to mankind, and to all kinds of living beings in this world. The tree is even doing its purpose. You see, without these trees, we couldn't sit here comfortably and coolly and feeling so refreshed. Because the trees, they radiate oxygen, a kind of very reviving atmosphere. There are some trees even better than other trees. Like in India, they have a kind of tree called neem tree. It has a healing power. When you sit under the neem tree, many kinds of sickness will be lessened or healed. When you have fever, and you sit under the neem tree, you feel better, refreshed. So, many of the ashrams in India, meditation centers in India, they would plant neem trees around them. And many of the so-called Indian sages and saints, they would make their abode under the neem tree, or they would sit under the neem tree to work or to talk to their disciples, or just to meditate or refresh themselves. Shakyamuni Buddha probably couldn't find the neem tree, so he had to sit under the Bodhi tree. Probably at that time, he didn't know about the neem tree. Nobody told him. I had been in India for a long time, almost a year, before I know the neem tree's quality. I didn't know immediately. If some master hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known. But in India, many people know about the neem tree. Most of the people know. And them call it neemji. Ji means great. The suffix ji only is added to those holy persons and great personage. And they add it to the tree, and they add it to the Ganga too. And so Gangaji, neemji, sometimes stoneji, birdji. Trees are very useful to people. I have a lot of olives. And normally the people who lived there, before they trimmed the olives so short, I don't know why. Like that, they say it saves water. Why do they trim the olive tree short? On the farm. Not just for decoration. Why? Maybe to grow up better. They grow up better? Grow the better olive or better tree. The fruits. On the contrary, I haven't lived there for a couple of years. We didn't even water them. We didn't trim them, because I'm worried that the tree get hurt. I really don't like to trim trees if I can help it. I let them grow, and this year my neighbor told me he has never seen so much olives, and so good in all the time he lives there. Long time already, he lives like more than 10 years. And all the olives, he say, my God, so much we have problem harvesting, because we don't have enough people. So, it's not always that you trim the trees that it's better. I don't trim the olive tree. I let them grow. They grow very fast. No water, because I haven't been there for a long time. But this year they grow a lot of fruit. So luscious, look beautiful. And a lot of oil. Oh my God, so much fruit. So abundant, the fruit. The olive trees must feel very happy, and the mountains also. I make sure, because we don't harm them if we can avoid. We don't even cut grass. In spring, they grow, and in winter they die and they become compost, and so we just let it be. They grow by themselves. We plant, we don't cut them. We don't bother. Number 1, we don't like to cut anything. Number 2, we're busy. Even not busy, we don't cut wherever really not necessary at all. Many places where I live it's like that, not just now. Long time or many years. When I lived in other country, any different countries. If in my house, I don't cut anything. Only minimum when the branches go too much into your walking area, it might scratch your eye or something. Then I ask permission first. And if they're okay, because trees also have some spirit on them, especially big trees, sometimes more than one. We have respect for all things. And in turn they'll protect you also. People do not know this otherwise. Trees are very useful to people. Did you hear the story of Guru Nanak? When he was young, he was sleeping under a tree, and the shade of the tree moves together with the sun. Whenever the sun is there on his face, the tree moves to protect him, protect his face, his body, so it's not too sunny for him. Maybe it's just a legend, but maybe it's true. How else would people imagine such a thing? Yes, it's possible. I'm telling you, it is possible. Trees and animals are our helpers. Q, you've spoken before that trees have a soul. Yes, and many trees are now perishing due to global warming. So my question is, can you please tell us if trees are like animals, that they're closer to God, and that when they die, they go immediately to heaven? Or is it that they have a different evolution from animals? SM. Yes, each one has a different evolution, of course. But the trees who perished by helping humankind, by shading the hot planet, will go straight to heaven, of course. In each tree there is a soul. And that soul will go back to where it comes from. Now, our planet has lost many animal species, and they won't come back. The reason animals came here in the first place was because we were in need of their help. In the beginning, we did not have much need, as most people were breatharian long, long ago. Then later on, as we developed more appetite for many edible things on this earth, then we needed more animals to propagate seeds and fruits to air the earth, and to disperse different seeds and different agricultural products on earth. Then the animals came. Then we began to fight with each other more for food and survival, since we know the taste of food. And then other animals have to come down, also to balance the atmosphere of our planet, because animals brings down love onto this planet. Where we were losing love, the animals will have to fill it. In this empty space of our love, as our love lessens, and lessens. Because we fight with each other, because we become disharmonized with each other due to shortage or due to greed for food. And then from food or other necessities, and from other necessities, more for power and control. So we lose more and more of the quality of love as we generate more hatred and competitiveness and jealousy into the atmosphere that we live. So more animals have to incarnate into our planet in order to help us to balance that. But now, we are killing many of them almost every day. 200-300 species are lost every day and they will not come back. Even if they wanted to, they will not be allowed to come back. That's why we see so many animals extinct. The endangered species of the already extinct, we will never see them again, because they came here to help, but we harmed them instead. So, heaven will not allow them to return. And the less animals, the less love atmosphere on our planet, and also if we generate more hatred the way we live, then we'll be in trouble. Q, I just want to recount an experience I had with trees when I was Belgium. I live around a farming area, and there were a lot of wooded patch areas. One day, I was walking through one of these wooded areas, and I felt that the trees in there were like alive and the air was moist and it felt live. Everything was alive and it had a cleansing effect, because when I walked out, I felt like I just walked through a different dimension or something. And then I was like, wow, and then I started looking out for more forest to walk in. SM, that's right. Yes, you did right. That's why a lot of people like to walk through the forest. In Chinese terms, they call it, like, forest bathing. It's truly because they experience similar to what you experienced. Like the cleansing effect of the trees. Not because of the oxygen that they emit, but the love from them, because they never know any harming intention in their being. All they have is love and protection. That's why I made, for all of them, a poem recently. I hope I have the time to recite it for you. I am calling all the planetary species and all the forests to please take care of themselves and protect humankind in this hour of need. Thank you, Master, and I cried so much when I wrote that, so I wasn't sure whether I could recite it. Because every time I tried to read it again, even just to correct or revise a little, I cried so much because I feel their response. I feel their love and their frustration, also, for us. They have just love. That's why you felt good. I'm glad you did. Vegetables have feelings too. Even plants have consciousness. Brother Ching has really experienced this in his work. Each day as he steps into his vegetable garden, he can feel the vegetables breathing. Are they growing well? Are they sick? Do they need fertilizer? He then carefully observes the changes in the cells in the leaves and decides what remedy he should apply. By continuously acquiring new knowledge, researching the latest technological advances, and caring for his vegetables lovingly as if they were humans, his children naturally grow up stronger than others. He mentioned that if vegetables are planted too close together, the space for growing is insufficient and the nutrition is not evenly distributed. However, if they are planted too far apart, again they will not grow well. It seems that if they are not united as a group, like in group meditation, they lack a mutually beneficial relationship. From the laws of vegetable growth, we can also observe the spirit of the middle way. It is very meaningful and worth contemplating that even the laws of the universe and heaven are silently manifesting in a tiny farming field. For instance, Brother Cheng has discovered that if produce in a field is crushed to act as fertilizer because of overplanting, the subsequent produce from this field will fail to grow well or get a good price. His feeling is that because the vegetables are so compassionate, they are willing to sacrifice themselves as food for humans. However, should they be treated unjustly and feel the grudging sentiments of the farmers, the vital force that nourishes this field will be impaired. Therefore, he advises farmers to give their surplus crops to people as gifts. One small grain can grow into a tall stem bearing innumerable rice grains. Similarly, God will not overlook our small, kind gesture, therefore more desirable rewards will result. Brother Cheng thinks that perhaps the government, instead of letting these surplus vegetables that they purchase rot in heaps, should give them to the army, the hospitals, orphanages and old folks' homes. Or even follow Master's example of treating the whole world as one family and give them to the poor countries in need. We human beings should learn to cherish God's grace and never waste our blessings.